All right, and here we go. Trump's inner circle admits to the January 6th committee that he lost the election but wanted to overturn it anyways. The panel aired never before seen footage of the deadly insurrection and statements from people in the mob saying that they came to DC at Trump's urging. I'm going to go through this entire article, but before I do, like and follow. I was swamped in my last video by right wingers. So liberals, lefties, show some support. Get me onto the right side of TikTok. All right, let's jump in. Washington, ally after ally of President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. His eldest daughter, his former attorney general, former senior campaign aide, admitted to the congressional investigators that his claims of the 2020 election were stolen from him were false. The rats are leaving the ship. And that's good. It's exciting. Hopefully this actually leads to an indictment, criminal indictment, and he actually goes to jail, and we don't have to deal with him in 2024. However, the rest of the Republican Party did support him in his endeavor all the way up until the very last second. So I'd like to see some consequences laid out to the Republican lawmakers who voted to not certify the election in 2020. And those like Lauren Boebert, who were tweeting out the position of Nancy Pelosi and other people in the House during the insurrection. You know, some consequences to the people who supported the insurrection, where instead of just exclusively Trump, who led and planned it. The testimony were just some of the revelations of the first day of the January 6th committee hearings, interspersed with shocking, never-before-seen video of the deadly attack and powerful statements from Capitol police officers who battled the rioters. Quote, I made it clear I did not agree with the idea that saying the election was stolen and was putting on this stuff, which I told the president was bullshit, said former Attorney General Bill Barr testified. Bill Barr, that was like Trump's guy. That was his main guy. Even seemingly the most loyal rats are leaving the ship. The panel says it's building a case that Trump was responsible for the insurrection. He personally asked us to come to D.C. that day, one person in the mob said in a video played at the end of the hearing as part of a montage of several others who said that they were there at the former president's behest. In one particular notable moment, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, elicited gasps when he explained how, after Vice President Mike Pence called, pleading for military help to squash the riot, Mark Meadows, the White House Chief of Staff, called to ask for help in dispelling the image that Trump was no longer in charge. The new video showed the police being brutalized by the mob, airing footage taped by documentarians that included audio, unlike much of the silent security video aired during Trump's second impeachment hearings. I can remember my breath catching in my throat because what I saw was a war scene. Capitol Police Officer Carolyn Edwards, one of the first two witnesses called in the hearing. Officers were on the ground, they were bleeding, they were throwing up, it was carnage, it was chaos, she says. The January 6th was a culmination of an attempted coup, Chairman Bernie Thompson's Democrat from Mississippi said in his own opening statement. A brazen attempt, as one rioter put it shortly after the January 6th, to, quote, overthrow the government. The violence was no accident. It represented Trump's last and most desperate chance to halt the transfer of power. I like this. I like how aggressive they're being. I like how on point they're being. They're being direct. They're not pussyfooting around it. The committee has tried for months to keep a close hold on what it was learning through interviews with more than 1,000 people, including the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who are both people who I don't have very high opinions of, but damn, the rats are leaving the ship. An accumulation of more than 140,000 documents. Despite its leaks, it remained unclear whether or not the committee was going to make Trump the focus of the hearings. Thursday removed any doubt. Republican Liz Cheney of Wyoming, top Republican on the panel, took direct aim at Trump, saying he repeatedly rebuffed pleas by his aides to call off the violent mob attacking police and lawmakers. Those who invaded our Capitol and battled law enforcement for hours were motivated by what President Trump told them, and that the election was stolen, that he was the rightful president. Cheney, the vice chair of the January 6th committee, said in her opening statement. President Trump summoned the mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flame for this attack. I was in the Oval Office, Miller said in the clip that was played. At some point in the conversation, Matt Ozokski, who was the lead data person, was brought in. I remember he delivered to the president in pretty blunt terms that he was going to lose. End quote. Cheney argued that Trump knew that he'd lost the election, but continued to push false claims to try and hold on to power. Cheney was one of 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump. See, only 10. After he attempted a coup, an insurrection, he tried to overthrow our democracy. Only 10 Republicans voted against him. I think there should be consequences handed out to the other Republicans. 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump after the riot said future hearings will reveal live and recorded testimony from more than half a dozen Trump White House aides, all of whom were in the West Wing that day, who pleaded with the then president to call off the attack to no avail. Testimony, Cheney added, will also show that Trump backed his supporters who breached the Capitol and wanted to assassinate Pence. President Trump believed his supporters in the Capitol were, quote, doing what they should be doing, end quote. This is what he told his staff when they pleaded with him to call off the mob to instruct his supporters to leave. You will hear a testimony that the president really didn't want to put down anything, calling off the riot or asking his supporters to leave. You'll hear President Trump yelling. Trump was yelling and really angry with advisors who told him he needed to do something more, end quote, Cheney said. And aware of the rioters' chance to hang Mike Pence, the president responded with the sentiment, maybe our supporters have the right idea. Mike Pence deserves it. Now there's more, but I'm already pushing my time limit, so I'm going to call it there. President Trump, pretty bad dude. He tried to overthrow our democracy. I hope some legal trouble comes his way. I hope he actually goes to jail for this. And I hope you follow me for more as I document the fall of our democracy step by step, day by day. Comment below on at what point in Trump's presidency, in the lead up or during or after, were you convinced that he was a lying con man who was a proto-fascist? And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.